Hello guys, this is Svetlana from Kamoi Cosplay, and today I want to talk about all the things that can go wrong during a costume project. To be more precise, about all the things that went wrong during my demonic Brigitte costume project. So again, demonic Brigitte is a custom design made by the amazing Zack Fisher, and it's basically Brigitte from Overwatch wearing a Diablo-inspired armor from Diablo. So I used actually a lot of EVA foam for this costume and built in over 1000 individual LEDs. And yeah, if you're curious about how I made the whole thing, I already uploaded 6 videos in total showing you everything, in case you didn't watch these videos so far. And also, if you're curious about the materials and tools I used for this project, you will find links for everything in the video description down below. And the best of it, these are actually Amazon affiliate links. And if you use these links and make a purchase, you are awesome because you support us directly with the small commission fee we get. So thank you. And in all these 6 videos, I always explain how I made this, how I made that, what kind of materials I did, like how I brought like the whole thing together. But actually don't really go into the detail what I was thinking and like what my plan was and everything. And also while watching this video, some of you actually noticed some flaws in this costume. So today, I wanted to talk about all the things that went wrong, and also about some things I would maybe improve in case I would make the costume again, which I will never ever do. But just to answer some of your questions, I just wanted to go a little bit more in detail into this project. And like, to be clear, this costume is done over because I'm pretty sure you have plenty of amazing suggestions on how to make the costume better and how to improve it, and I really appreciate all your thoughts and your ideas. But like right now, I'm just happy that the costume is done and that it's just done, and I don't have to do any work anymore, and this is good. And finally, I also wanted to give you some insight on how I planned the whole thing, like how I planned the electronics, also how all the wires through the whole costume, how the costume is actually attached and held together by Velcro tape. And I also have a dressing up part, by the way, so you can see how I get into this whole costume craziness. And I also recorded a little bit of our photo shooting, so you get some footage, how the lights are set up and everything. And I hope it will give you some ideas how to do some cool photo shoots at home as well with your costumes. So in general, I hope this video will be inspiring, insightful, inspirational, and like all the things. And yeah, and now let's get started. So first, to the reference. So I got this final artwork from Zack Fisher, and as you can see, it's a great front image, and I also got the line art, and I also got an image from the back. But if you take a closer look here, the boobies are actually not light up at this stage, because this was actually Zack's original idea. But I thought it would be actually pretty cool if the boobs would light up. So this was also in progress drawing. And so then after my feedback, he also light up the boobs as well, because I thought it would be pretty cool if the boobies would light up as well. Looking at this, I was already back then quite confident that I could do it. Like, Benny was already quite scared, I would say, carefully, but I thought it was a pretty cool project. I was very excited, and my favorite piece was actually the shield. I was really excited to make the shield, and I wanted to start with the shield at the beginning. But to be honest with you, it's actually much nicer to keep the level of motivation if you do the favorite costume piece at the very end. Because this is like the last cherry on top of a huge gigantic cake, and if I would make the shield at the beginning, I might lose my motivation quite early. So I wanted to basically reward myself with the final shield, and this is why I didn't start it with this piece, but actually with something else first. Before I could start crafting though, I first wanted to make a plan because I wanted to light up the whole thing, and I first had to figure out how to install all the lights and how I also would set up the electronics. So first, let me show you my plan. So this was my super professional circuit plan, which I made at the very beginning and which guided me through the whole project. And this here is actually the central circuit microcontroller battery thing, which controlled everything and light up all the LEDs in the whole costume. Yeah, it's actually connected to 4 connection plugs. These are the arrows here. And let me explain you shortly how everything works. So these pieces here are actually the light up bulbs. And as you can see, 2 connection plugs go here. Then the light up bulbs, they go to the lower part of the corset, like these light up straps here. And then they go to the belt. And finally end in the leg armor. Everything is connected parallel with 2 switches, so it runs also simultaneously. In addition, I also have a connection plug which went to the emblem, and then it kept on going to the hairpiece, and then a further connection plug which ended in the shoulder armor. And yeah, this was just the armor piece because the shield got a separate circuit as well, and also the mace here. Making a plan is actually always the very first step when I do a LED project, because the plan basically tells me how to build all these pieces, how to connect all the LED strips and everything. And yeah, since this is actually the core of the whole costume, I just cannot trip out the LED strips out and just, you know, redo everything. So everything needs to work at the very beginning, and because of that I make a plan, and I know the plan works. I also actually tested the plan, so I installed all the LEDs completely naked without the costume first and saw if I would have enough power and everything, if the circuit would work, and only then I started crafting. So now we're coming to my materials of choice. These are my personal preferences, but I love working with EVA foam, and especially I also have quite some experience with that, so I feel very comfortable. And after doing my Tinogra armor and my Gigante armor, I just really enjoy working with this material. And I also have a lot of it, so I wanted to turn it into some more armor. So the base of my armor was actually 10mm EVA foam. And yeah, it's very soft, it's squishy, and you can reshape it very nice with the heat gun. So it's just perfect for armor, and I mostly work with 5mm, but I chose here 10mm because it just gives my armor more volume, it makes it more bulky and more massive. So 10mm because of that. In addition, I'm also using often 10mm high density EVA foam, which is less squishy, it's more dense, and I would personally say it's easier to sand because it gives me more control when I'm working with the Dremel. So I'm using actually this material mostly for sanded parts. So if you watch the videos again, like the crafting videos, you will see that I use the gray foam always for sanded pieces. And then, in addition, I also used so-called LED foam. Like this one is plaster soda 45 and 10mm. And yeah, this one is also quite squishy, but the best of it, it diffuses light perfectly. So when you're working with LEDs, it diffuses everything. So the light looks very even and nice, and you can also paint it, and it just looks great. I love it, and I chose here 10mm because it gives me the biggest level of diffusion, but it also makes again everything a little bit more bulky. And my last material of choice for this whole project was actually foam clay. Since the reference had a lot of skulls, like demon mouth thingies, like bones, claws, all the things. I already knew that I would need to do a lot of sculpting, but I don't really like to work with like a proper clay, like monster clay and stuff. I don't really like to use silicone and mold making and everything. Like all these things usually used for sculpting. And with foam clay, you can directly apply it on the material and then directly sculpt everything, and then it's just instantly, you know, like part of the armor. And then you can prime it and paint it and everything. It's very affordable. You don't need anything extra. And then especially you don't create any waste. Like there is no waste from silicone or resin or anything. And yeah, so I think it's a great material. I love working with it. And yeah, in addition, as I said, like I link all the materials I used for my project in a video description down below, but you will also find Amazon affiliate links which work just as good, and then you can order the stuff from anywhere you live. Yeah. Well, and after I planned everything and got all of my materials, I started crafting. Again, if you're curious on how I made everything, how, you know, like how a specific piece is actually crafted from scratch, just check out my plenty of crafting videos, and you will find links in the video description down below as mentioned. But now I want to go more in detail into the electronics. So here is the completed armor all wired up. You might notice all the connection plugs running through the costume. These are servo extension cables I got from adafruit.com. Link in the video description. And this is my dog Zelda, which is not for sale though. As you can see, not only the armor lights up, but also the shield and the mace. In total, I used 1000 individual LEDs for everything. While it's a little bit difficult to see, there's actually a crawling animation running through all armor pieces. I used the same effect for the awesome Diablo shield. Let me quickly show you how the whole circuit actually works. It's a little bit complicated, but I try to explain it as well as possible. So this is the core. It runs with only one single Li-Poly battery and this microchip controller. There is a video tutorial for that, by the way. And yeah, I have here several switches. Two switches are to change the programming, the animation, and one to turn the whole thing on and off. So, and here I have 4 plug connectors. And like the whole circuit actually runs through the whole costume, and 2 of these connectors start at the breastplate and are connected to the back of the breastplate. Then the wire goes to the back of the breastplate, then these 2 wires keep on running to the front of the breastplate. As you can see, here are still these 2 wires. They keep on running through the whole costume, then they go to the torso part, then they end up in the belt, and finally the very last pieces are the leg armor. So the whole circuit is completely connected together, and it's actually necessary to bring everything together and like connect all these plugs before it actually works. And yeah, then I have these additional plugs, and this one here runs actually to the shoulder armor. And this one here runs first to the emblem, and then it ends up in the hairbrush. In addition to that, I actually like to recycle my circuits. So this one is actually originally from my Tinogre armor, and it has still partially my Tinogre armor program on it. So I will show you just a second. So as you can see, it lights up blue, and this is actually still part of my Tinogre armor animation. And this was actually the photo mode. So as you can see, there is no animation, just steady light. So when I did the photo shoot with my Tinogre armor, all the lights were permanently on. This surely didn't work with my Brigitte armor, so I actually also have a different one here. And this one is actually the photo mode of my Brigitte armor. So as you can see, here are also all the lights are completely turned on. And while it looks orange yellowish in the video right now, these are actually red LEDs, like not red, but like red mode. So it's extra power saving. So this way I can use a lot of time with my LiPo battery and doesn't need to recharge it, and it still looks good. And as you can see, all the lights are permanently turned on. So when we take a photo, you know, everything lights up and looks pretty. So in total, I actually have 3 circuits in the whole costume. One for the mace, one for the armor, and one for the shield. So obviously I have to keep all of those LiPo batteries always charged up, so I can do a photo shoot or video and stuff. But yeah, basically everything is pretty central, and it takes quite some time to connect the whole circuit for the armor. And if you want to get into this whole LED programming stuff, LED strips installing thing, check out my video tutorials, because I already uploaded quite a few of them on this topic. And I also wrote my advanced LED book exactly to show you how to install fancy lights into your props and costumes. Next, I want to show you how all the attachments work. I will do this on my mannequin though, so you can see it better. Let's start with the corset. As you can see, connection plugs hang out everywhere here. To close the back, I have to lace it up through these eyelets. Doing this myself is obviously difficult, so Benny usually helps me here. Next, I stick on this scaly thing with Velcro. Following that, I have to mount the loincloth to the front and pull the plugs of the breastplate through it. Then I fasten the front part of the hip cloak. With the belt, things become a little bit more complicated. I need to pull another pair of wires through the eyelets and also connect the plugs with the breastplate. You might understand now why it's actually super important to get into the costume in the right order. Then the belt gets hooked up to some Velcro on the sides. These actually stop it from slipping and help to hold up the weight of the upcoming costume pieces. Afterwards, I close the Velcro at the inside and the outside of the belt. The extra leather pieces on the sides are actually the attachments for the hip plates. And yes, I used a lot of Velcro for this costume. Now I pull the cloak over the armor and attach it to the inside of one of the hip plates. I actually need some padding to widen the thighs on my dress form. So then I just place the leg and shoe armor here and connect their plugs as well. Now the inside of the breastplate looks like this. Here I have to connect the LED strips to the corset first. I keep the wires actually quite long, so it's easier. After mounting the front, I just hide them inside the foam. Next, to the back. I first have to pull this cable to the front and fasten it to the back. The cables obviously have to be linked on both sides. As you can see, I placed Velcro here over the shoulders, but also under the armpits. Plus, you can find Velcro on the inside, but also on the outside. This way the attachment is just far stronger. So much Velcro. Following all of this, I just mount the left shoulder piece. Now I admit I was too lazy to hide the battery and the microchip, so I just threw it into the collar of the breastplate. Here I have to connect the very last plugs. Then I attach the emblem as well. One of the connections then went to the microchip. And this is actually also how the sash holds up. it's just placed with more Velcro to the breastplate. Then I secure the right shoulder armor at the collar, pull the cable to the microchip, connect it, and close the very last Velcro underneath. Well, and that's all! I hope you enjoyed this little costume attachment demonstration. Don't worry, I'll also show you how I wear the final costume in this video. But the mannequin was just much more suitable to show you everything in detail. So, and this is my assembled Brigitte costume. As you can see, I roughly attached the arms just with some duct tape. And here you might notice the first mistake I actually make. Because at the point where everything was already completely painted and I put everything on the floor and see how it looks together and everything, I noticed only at this point that I swapped the bracers. Only at this point. So basically the left bracer is now the right bracer and the right bracer is now the left bracer. And to be honest with you though, I actually like this one much more. And this one is also visible when I'm wearing the shield. So this one is hidden then. And yeah, I like this one more. And to be honest, I was just like, whatever. Let's keep on going. Something else, some of you also noticed that here would be actually a chain connected to the hip piece. Like I started already crafting it and I was actually already quite close. But to be honest with you, I decided not to use it at all because it would actually limit my movement. So basically I wouldn't be able to make like moves like that and that because I would actually have, you know, like only a limited area. I think it's okay. Like this way I was actually able to make better photos, so it was worth it. So something I wasn't 100% happy about, but nobody of you actually noticed, were the leg armor pieces. So Brigitte's body shape is very crazy and you know, just not realistic at all. Like her head is tiny and she has like very big hands and like her feet are absolutely massive. And like no human being actually looks like that. But like I hope that would be fine. So I just made my armor the way I made it at the very beginning. But over the time of the project, I like them less and less. And like to make them actually properly, I would have to make a whole platform construction where my whole feet are completely covered in EVA foam. But I knew that this would limit my movement a lot. But towards the end of the project, I liked them less and less. And I was really like that close to remake the whole thing completely from scratch and start all over again. And Benny thought already I'm completely insane. And I thought, yeah, that's right. And yeah, I was just so close. But I thought, I have to finish this project. I have to finish it. So yeah. Well, and here is the wig. Some of you also noticed that like the color isn't exactly correct, and the reason for that was that the color I wanted was simply sold out, you know, and like even ordering this wig took like 2 months until it finally arrived at my home and I could style it and everything. And you know, like often it's like everything that counts is just to finish the costume. It's not about perfectionism because, you know, I didn't want just more months until the wig is available and I was not able to find a better color somewhere else. And so it's just, you know, I also don't have like this hair thingies, whatever, because my wig styling skills are not so great and not so perfect. But I was just happy that I managed to style this wig and like this was what counted the most for me. And I was like, whatever, it's good. And yeah. So, and these were all the things I actually didn't like 100% on this costume, but it's okay, you know, like, I mean, it's not about creating something completely perfect, but it's about, you know, like making flaws, learning from it, and then make it better next time. And yeah, I had like a very clear vision from the very beginning how this costume would look like. And Benny though, like he was like, oh my god, it will be never done. I cannot see the light at the end of this tunnel. But I knew from the very beginning how it would look like, but sadly it didn't look exactly how I expected it. And as I said, like I was so close at so many points to remake so many things again, and I was just scared that it would start like in a circle of remaking things again and again. Like, you know, like if I would start with the boots, maybe I would also remake the bracers, and maybe I would get a new wig, and then like the costume would be never done. So I just wanted to finish it, and I thought this was actually also the most important thing, about finishing it. And cosplay is also not about like being perfect, create like the ultimate costume, but it's about, you know, like finishing something, get better, and then make something new again and have just some fun, you know? And now get ready for the real dressing up part. So this was me with the finished makeup and a black basic bodysuit. I actually used some padding to make my hips wider. Super sexy, right? If you're interested, I uploaded a video about how I pad my hips, which you can find on my YouTube channel. Now let me speed up the dressing part a little bit. You already know how the electronics and attachments work, right? You might now also notice why I showed you everything before. Benny had to film the process and help me at the same time, so we weren't able to show you everything during this process. Instead, I could put on every armor piece and show you a few additional secrets. For the leg wraps, for example, I used double-sided tape. This way they didn't slip down and stayed in place. Also, my tights looked really massive with the foam padding. Then with the wrapping. Then, as I showed you before, I began with the corset. Now I pretty much followed all these steps you already saw. It's really important to attach everything in the right order, since the costume wouldn't work otherwise. I was actually able to mount a large part of the costume by myself, but at some point I simply needed help. However, I was able to get into the hip area without any help. I also super professionally let the wires disappear and secured the hip plates afterwards. Now you might also see why I added this massive foam padding under the bodysuit. I simply had to build up the volume for the belt and the hip plates. Then I pulled the coat all around and attached it at the back. The bottom part was done. Okay, the breastplate was actually a little bit more challenging alone. I could still do the front bit myself, but Benny had to help me already with the back. I just pretended I didn't need any help here. Ta-da! Then I mounted the emblem, added the sash, and attached it to the back. All by myself. Okay, the shoulder armor was difficult. And the other shoulder, yeah, I needed here help as well. If you ever wondered why some cosplayers need helpers for everything, this is the reason. But look, we got there. Next, I pulled my upper arm guards on, got into my bracers, again all by myself, and finally covered my hands with these massive gloves. And ready! I think the costume turned out super mighty and sexy. I felt really powerful, and overall I loved how demonic Brigitte turned out. As you can see, I also got my photo background ready. Because of COVID, we were not able to shoot outside and instead used our little photo studio at home. Also, here is a detailed view of Brigitte with the shield and mace. I cannot express how much I love this costume. I'm super proud that Benny and I were able to finish it despite of having so many struggles. Here are also 2 of the final photos Benny already edited, super mighty. And if you're curious about the photo setup, here's how everything worked. First, we used the bright studio ring light. Benny can actually dim this one to the right brightness. In addition, we worked with some colored LED lights from Philips Hue. We can actually control these ones with a phone, which is super cool. If you want to check them out, I put some links into the description. Then we also had a smaller dimmable background light, which we used to create a nice bright contour. And finally, we also have a cute little smoke machine, which Benny can control with his foot to make me look extra epic while I do silly poses. Well, and that's it. Now just take some photos from very low. No, even lower. And snap, that's how we do it. Hope you enjoyed this extra behind the scenes. And now last but not least, we're coming finally to this end of this video. And yeah, this is also the very last video about demonic Brigitte. And yeah, I hope you really enjoyed this project just as me. I hope it was as exciting and interesting for you just as it was for me. And I hope that I was able to give you a good insight, especially this time, into all the electronics work, into how the attachment works. And yeah, I also hope, as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, that I was able to show you that it's not about creating something perfect. You know, it's okay to make mistakes, it's okay to, you know, like to have some flaws, and it's okay to mess something up, to learn from it and also to make it better next time. And yes, I have anxiety about my work as well. It was very difficult for me to talk about all these things. I was not 100% satisfied, but I wanted to show you, you know, that like even I, who create this stuff now for 18 years, doesn't do stuff perfect. You know, I have struggles as well. I also have like a lot of trouble to finish something. I have like so many unfinished projects right now, but it's okay. Like, we are all just human beings, and it's okay to learn, to grow, and to get better. And now, after hearing about all my struggles, about all my bad things and everything, about all my frustration, you are surely also super inspired to get started with cosplay as well, right? So, while I could surely promote now my EVA foam armor book and also my EVA foam weapons book, which you can find on kamicosplay.com. By the way, I will today promote my Getting Started with Cosplay book, which is full of helpful tips and tricks on how to get started with cosplay, how to plan your very first project, how to find inspiration, and how to get into this amazing hobby, which is just awesome. So get my book on kamicosplay.com and also give it to your kids, to your friends, and like to everyone you know, because cosplay is awesome. And since you always enjoy my advertising so much, I also wanted to mention that we started a Ko-fi in case you want to support us there. I also relaunched my blog, which is completely full with Amazon affiliate links and Google AdSense, but also great blog entries, by the way, also on how to get started with cosplay, how to make a business with it, how to craft all the things. Very interesting. So check it out on kamicosplay.com/blog, by the way. What else do we have? Patreon. Yeah, you can also support us on Patreon. We have 2 new tiers, which are super exciting. And yeah, other than that, if you have any questions about the construction, about like anything else you noticed and want to point out any other flaws, as I said, I won't change the costume anymore. Yeah, just leave me a comment. You can also just write down Corgi and join the Corgi Squad. Support us with the YouTube algorithm. Helps us a lot. And other than that, as always, like and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and yeah, support us on Patreon as mentioned, and see you very soon. Bye bye. And finally, I want to say a huge thank you to all our amazing super sponsors for this week's video. And these are Alta of Madness Cosplay, Jessica Burden, Lisa, Louisa Perez, M Fortresses or Mattresses, I'm not sure, Silly Vic Cosplay, and also it's Nico Cosplay. Thanks so much for all your support on Patreon, and also thanks so much for all our other supporters on Patreon. I hope all of you enjoyed this video and see you very soon. Bye bye!